Hello everybody. Recently I've had a few people asking me how to open their 360s, and I figured I'd make a quick video showing you how on an RGH that I built. So first, just go ahead and take off the hard drive, and then the faceplate, both of which are pretty easy. Pretty standard stuff. But now this top and bottom mesh needs to come off. And it's held onto these side panels by a couple of plastic tabs. So sometimes what you can do is just wiggle it, and then the first ones will come up. If not, this hard one is a little tough. You can kind of force it, and if you snap the clips, it's not the biggest deal in the world. But you can wedge something down the side here, where the clip is, like right in front of the console. You can wedge something down there and try to pull it out. And then on the next set, you can find it by looking at the mesh, and you'll see a couple of filled holes. It's hard to see with this lighting, but there's a couple of filled holes in the mesh in the middle of the console. Then you go ahead and just follow the triangle they make and stick whatever tool you're using in there. I like to use a nice sharp set of tweezers. You can use a really small, like, jeweler's screwdriver if you want. That'll work as well. I'm having some trouble getting this clip up. There we go. Then on the back, you'll see there's a rubber pad on this one, which you can pull up to expose a little hole to poke at the clip on that side, or you can just come to the other side and poke it out from there. And then it typically just comes out if you wiggle it after you get those. Then, same story on the bottom, but it's a little bit easier because you can actually poke at the front tabs. So let me get this closer here. You can actually poke in here and hit the front tabs. Again, the rubber thing, you can try to hit above the rubber thing. There are exposed holes that are above it, and if you can hit it high enough and push in at an angle, you'll actually be able to hit the tab as well if you don't want to pull off the rubber stopper if you're having issues. Okay, so now I want to turn our attention to the front of the console, where there's going to be 4 clips. You'll see one right here up at the top, another one in the middle, another one here, and then one at the very bottom. So the easiest way is to just kind of pull it apart, and if you need to, go ahead and take your small poking utensil and get under there to get some leverage. Then we're going to flip over to the back of the console, which is arguably the hardest part of taking apart a 360, but I'm going to show you how to do it the correct way. So instead of mangling your console and just shoving whatever in there, make sure you have a small enough tool to fit into these little holes right here that you can barely see. You want to make sure you have a tool that's actually small enough to fit in there, so you don't mangle the crap out of your chassis. Then you want to put some pressure across the 2 side plastic pieces. This is kind of awkward, and this is why I said it's arguably the most difficult section, in my opinion. You poke in there, and you hear it clicking, but it's clicking back together, but there's a little tab. I'm just not going to worry about that one. I'm going to do these next 4. There we go. There's the top part. There's 7 in total. There's those 5 on top. We're going to flip the console over and hopefully not have it clip back together, which I think it did on the front, which we can solve in a second. But and then you just kind of want to do the same thing. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and fix this issue now. There we go. Same thing, just kind of put pressure across the 2 panels, pushing them apart, and then hit those last 2. And then your plastic side panel on the back is free. Then you've got 6 nice little Torx 10 screws. You want to make sure you have a T10 head for any screwdriver. You can get a dedicated screwdriver for it, or like I have here, one with replaceable bits. And then a good idea before you take those off is to pull this eject button off. It's attached to the front of the disk drive. You can pry under it and just kind of pull it off. And remember to put that on before you close your console entirely. So there's 6 screws. There's in the corners, there's one here, then in the middle, here, and here, top and bottom. Then in the other corners, here and here. They're the ones with the flat heads, so make sure you get those. The other ones are Torx 10 that go around the perimeter. Those are for the motherboard. Those are also Torx 10, so make sure you're getting the nice, long, flat head screws. Let me actually show you an example of a motherboard screw versus a case screw here. This focuses. So this one here on the left, that's a motherboard screw. The one on the right is a case screw. Man, this is weird. So it's going to be shinier and flat for the case screws. So you're just going to take all 6 of these off. Pretty easy. Sometimes they can be in there a little tight. Just give it a little bit more torque. And then once these 6 case screws are free, you can flip the console over and then lift off the top. And that's how you open a 360. Then you can pull up the disk drive. I'm not going to because I have some weird wiring with this matrix chip in here and I don't want to mess anything up. But yeah, so that's how you open a 360 nice and fast. So go ahead and feel free to pause the video if you need it to go slower, or ask a question in the comments if you really need help. I'll try to help you out. But yeah, that's how you do it nice and fast.